What's happening, racing fans? Welcome back to the channel. Brought to you in association with betting.co.uk. I'm Ginger Joe and I'm back bringing you a brief runner-by-runner guide and my verdict for today's Irish 2000 Guineas. And I'm going to come back this evening and do the same thing for the Irish 1000 Guineas as well. Now, I did have a full episode recorded, but I've had a few technical difficulties, so I re-recorded it on my phone, and then it told me that the memory was full right at the end of the episode. So I've scrapped the lot. I'm just going to bring you a brief runner-by-runner guide. And then, of course, the important verdict. So we're going to start off with Royal Scotsman, the 2-1 favourite for Paul and Ollie Cole. A largely consistent type last year. Did really well to win the Richmond Stakes at Goodwood over 6 furlongs, which was pretty unexpected because he was seemingly going to appreciate the step up in trip. That seemed to be the case when he went and contested in the Dewhurst. He managed to finish second behind Chowdine by a head, and he was really keen that day. He actually raced quite prominently, but lost his position, battled back really well to run Chowdine down to 1 length, which is some seriously good form based on him winning the 2000 Guineas next time out as well. That day, Royal Scotsman was again a little bit too keen, but he did actually manage to find a nice turn of foot towards the end of the race to finish third. And that form can probably be marked up a little bit. Despite him being a little bit of a tricky ride, he's definitely one that's got the class. And on that basis, I think he's probably going to be the one to beat. However, I do have quite a big reservation about him settling a little bit better. He needs to settle better for a 2-1 chance, but if he does, he is going to have a clear opportunity. Next in the betting is Paddington at 9-2. The first string of the Ballydor team here. Really powerful at the end of his race here at the Curragh last time out. Over over a mile. And I think this race is actually going to bring out a little bit more improvement in him on his second start. Now, the only concern potentially with Paddington is that his one race on the good ground was his first race on a racetrack, and he didn't actually handle it too well at all, but he's progressed really nicely since then, and he was very eye-catching the way he travelled through his race last time out at the Curragh. I think it's going to be really significant that he's got that course form already, and he's an impressive horse. He's seemingly got better with each run so far. He's bred to handle this good ground, even though you may have a few question marks about that on paper. But I do think that he's a completely different horse this year and probably going to be the one to beat. He's coming in with a string of ones next to his name. I think it could be significant back here at the Curragh. And he's had a little bit of a freshen up to get him fit for this race as well. So Paddington at 9-2, I think it's got a really good chance. Then if we take a look at High Royal, he was the surprise package of the English 2000 Guineas. He finished second at 150-1 under Oisin Murphy, but it didn't look like it was a fluke. He ran a really nice race and travelled particularly good throughout that contest as well. Coming down the final half furlong, he did hang badly to the left, and you can't help but think he'd have got a little bit closer with a bit more of a straighter run. But I imagine this time out, Oisin Murphy will surely try and get him a little bit of cover on the inside and then use his turn of foot at the end of the race. And that could actually be quite significant and see him in a much better light in this event. He probably is the one to beat. That is actually the best form on offer, but his profile potentially doesn't really match the race. So there is a slight drift on High Royal at this point in time for the Kevin Ryan team, who's definitely not to be disrespected whatsoever. I think at 5-1, he's a really decent bet. Then if you take a look at Proud and Regal at 13-2 for Donica O'Brien. A pretty decent horse. Again, one that we know is going to stay. He's running over a quarter of a mile further than this. However, I've got massive ground concerns about Proud and Regal. I don't imagine that he's going to appreciate this ground too much. His best form today was probably in the National Stakes, where he ran over 7 furlongs here again at the Curragh. But again, he may just be slightly short on the class angle here, particularly on this sort of faster ground as well. Galaron at 11-1. He was 5th in the English 2000 Guineas behind Chowdine. Has to be respected, and I think he's going to come a little bit better. His only win to date actually came here in the Goffs Million Stakes, and that form again wasn't necessarily too good, but the course form may actually stand up quite nicely for him. That was back in September. He really does enjoy this track, but even though he's probably likely to stay well and improve again a little bit, I don't think that's going to be enough to help him get the job done here. Cairo at 11-1 for Ballydor. He won a Group 3 over. He won a Group 3 already, but he really disappointed when he was in the UAE last time out. And on the basis of that, you'd have to have a few concerns about him, despite him being a bit of an interesting contender. He probably has to improve quite a lot as well to be contending in this race, and I don't think he's going to have the class to beat his market rivals here either. If we take a look at Sharon at 20-1 for Roger Varian, he's actually needing to step up quite a lot to win this race, but he was second in the Greenham on his first start of the season before disappointing in the English 2000 Guineas. But if you go back and watch that race, he did have a few excuses that day, and if he was to continue his form and the progress that he showed from the Greenham, he may not be without a chance here. And at 20-1, I would give him a slight squeak at the prices. There is enough of a question mark about his ability, but on that Greenham form, if he does continue that progression, he may not be too far away. He's still an improver and definitely not one that's hit the ceiling of his ability just yet. Then we've got Age of Kings here, apparently the third string here of the Ballydoyle team, but I think this could actually be a bit of a messy race. He hasn't done too much winning, but he's a horse that comes with a little bit of decent form, and he's starting to come to the boil now as well. Like Sharon, probably haven't seen the best of him just yet, and this looks like it could actually turn out to be a little bit of a messy race, with High Royal and Royal Scotsman both being rather keen sort of animals in this race. His best form's probably yet to come. At 25 to 1, it's probably a fair price for the each way punters here, and again, if the race turns messy, then he is the one that could actually pick up those pieces. At 25 to 1, you got Carmar. He's the favoured mount here as Shane Foley, which could be a little bit significant. He only ran twice so far, bombed out on his debut, but then won at Dundalk in pretty decent fashion, even though it's a very ordinary event. And Shane Foley could have rode Bold Discovery here, who's got a bit of decent form in sort of group company, but the fact he's tying himself here to Carmar, I think, telling quite a story in itself. Not without a chance of making the money, but again, this is a much better race, and it's unlikely to be seeing the best of him, despite this only being his third run. Still needs plenty of improvement, though, to figure. Bold Discovery at 33 to 1. Again, a slight negative that Shane Foley's decided to ride Carmar, but Bold Discovery does have the ground that's going to be much suited to him, so we could see the best version of him regarding that. He acts on good ground as well. His pedigree suggests that is going to be the case. However, I can't get away from the fact that Shane Foley has decided to ride Carmar, and Bold Discovery's probably got a little bit of improvement to do as well if he's going to get close to this lot. And then the outsider of the field is Alexander John at 250 to 1. He simply needs to start now to get involved. But if we take a look at the verdict, I have narrowed it down to 2 selections for this race, and I'll give you my 1-2. The one I'm not going to be backing here is going to be Royal Scotsman. I do think he's a very classy animal. I think that's very obvious on the face facts of what we've seen so far. However, the fact he is so keen is a real off-put at that sort of price when we've got a few other horses in this race with the credentials to get out there and beat him, and with more improvement likely to be on the card. So with him being too keen, I don't think he'll get away with that here at the Curry. You need a little bit more staying power, I'd imagine, at this sort of track, and I think he's going to get beaten today. However, if he puts everything right, he's obviously going to have a pretty decent chance, but a 2 to 1 is not a betting angle for me. High Royal, I think, is actually the one to beat. He's got the best form on offer from that English 2000 Guineas, and providing he gets a little bit of cover from Oisin Murphy, I think he's going to be really difficult to keep out of the first 2. He obviously has a nice turn of foot as well, and even after hanging badly left, he's stuck well to his task, and I think he's going to go very well indeed. Despite not having the profile for this race, he has to be the one to beat based on what we've seen on the form. But the selection I'm going to go for here is going to be Paddington. I was really taken by him here at the Curragh last time out. I think there's plenty of improvement still to come from him, and I just love the way he travelled through that race, and also had that really nice turn of foot to see them off in the final furlong. He's clearly a horse that's improving. Yes, there is a slight worry with the ground conditions being dry. However, he's a much different animal to what he was last season. He's impressive. He's travelled really well, and he's got a very strong turn of foot as well. And I think he's going to be effective on this ground with this sort of race. I think this year as well, he's just becoming a better horse run by run. And despite having a slight ground concern, I'm happy to side with Paddington at 9 to 2. I think it's really good value for his chances. And I think his course form here at the Curragh has given him a big advantage this time out as well. So I think Paddington gets the job done, and I think High Royal finishes second. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Sorry it's a little bit brief. As I said, I had a few technical difficulties this morning, but in the description below is some free bets for you to take advantage of, courtesy of Betfred, and it's free bet Saturday in my Discord group. Click subscribe, click the link in the description below to come over and join my group chat, and then drop your selections in there for your chance to win next week's free bet. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I'll see you all real soon. Bye for now.